Hi, my name is Dustin. I am the statewide area director for the Alaska chapter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention Alaska chapter would like to acknowledge Wasilla as Dena'ina homelands and recognize the Kanik tribe and the more than 230 Alaska Native tribes indigenous to the unceded lands we now reside on. We recognize the unjust actions and historical traumas that have occurred throughout generations. We honor the relationship between Alaska's first people, who are the original and rightful stewards of their traditional homelands. We desire to work toward a collaborative effort to accomplish our mission to save lives and bring hope to those affected by suicide, with honor and respect to the traditions, cultures, and sovereignty of Alaska Native people across this great state. We offer our gratitude and say, Chanan.
The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention reminds you to care for your mental health in the face of uncertainty. Focus on what's in your control versus what's not. Do what helps you feel a sense of safety. Remind yourself to stay in the present and stay connected with others. Reach the crisis text line by texting TALK to 741-741 or call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK. We're in this together, and help is always available.
Thank you for joining us for the Mat-Su Valley Out of the Darkness Community Walk. The Out of the Darkness Walk is a signature event that signals to the community that you are not alone and that we are here to support one another and to bring awareness to this critical cause. During the month of May, Mental Health Awareness Month, the Alaska chapter will be hosting a series of community-based presentations. You can log on to afsp.org/Alaska to find a list of our events, including Talk Saves Lives, More Than Sad for Parents and Guardians, and a brand new community presentation titled Introduction to Supporting Those at Risk. Introduction to Supporting Those at Risk is a new presentation developed for those who are supporting individuals with lived experience or mental health conditions. It is designed to help you better understand those that you care about and are giving care for. We value each and every one of you, and we want to make more programs available. We also want to ensure that you have access to available resources within your community. Supporting those at risk also provides you with important tools and resources to find direct service agencies and other support groups that can help you along your way. Nobody has to suffer alone. We're all in this together, and as Alaskans, we can fight suicide.
Hello Alaska, my name is Tacoma, and I'm the Alaska State Fair team. Today, we celebrate the work that is being done in suicide prevention and mental health awareness. Suicide can be a sensitive topic to discuss, but talking about suicide is critical to its prevention. We are grateful that you have joined us for this critical conversation and event. The Out of the Darkness Community Walk gives people the courage to open up about their own connections to the cause and create a smarter mental health platform. Friends, family members, neighbors, and coworkers walk supporting each other and in memory of those we've lost. Whether you're joining us on location or from somewhere else, we welcome you and thank you for your support. This year, we are doing things a little differently. Participants are invited to join us from home or on location at one of our walk sites. We encourage you to wear a face mask while on location and keep a safe distance from other participants. We invite you to visit our community partners hosting resource booths around the walk course and pick up your fundraising t-shirts and honor beads while there. We admit an unprecedented health crisis, yet we also have an extraordinary opportunity to come together with our families and our communities to improve the understanding of mental health. AFSP encourages everyone to engage in an open, honest dialogue with their friends and loved ones, demonstrating compassion and kindness, and practice self-care by exercising, meditating, and consuming the news in measured doses, and reaching out to those who may be isolated and need the extra support. These actions can save lives and positively change our collective culture surrounding the mental health for the long term. We hope this event will help you spread positive messages of hope, compassion, mental health care, and suicide prevention.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today for our virtual walk event. My name is Dennis Lastly. I'm the board chair for the Alaska chapter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. I want everyone to know that while we're dealing with some uncertain times, that the chapter is still operational and we're still serving the communities at which we support throughout all of Alaska. More importantly, I want you to know that you are not alone, that we're in this together, and together we're going to take suicide and we're going to bring it out of the darkness, and we're going to create a culture that is smart around mental health. However, the chapter needs your support more than ever. When you donate to AFSP, you support those who have lost someone to suicide. Funds raised provide training and education in suicide prevention for our schools, for our communities, and for our workplaces throughout all of Alaska. To donate, please visit afsp.org/Alaska. Once again, I want to thank you for joining us today. I want to thank you for your continued support. And it's because of you that we're able to save lives and bring hope to those affected by suicide. Thank you.
Is it a family member or a friend?
My mom.
So when your mom died by suicide, how did it affect you and what were the ripple effects?
Well, I think actually we're still kind of dealing with some of the ripple effects within my family. I think that it was very hard for my family to actually talk about what happened, and particular mental health, right? And I think that just now, like, these are conversations that we're starting to have. I think that, so my mom's suicide, I think, was also, part of it had to deal with alcohol abuse and prescription drug abuse, particularly at that point in her life. And so these are all conversations that we're now starting to talk about, you know, how those substance abuses can oftentimes complicate the issues that are going on. As far as when my mom actually died, I think the most obvious effect was that guilt, right? Of what could I have done differently, or did I give up too soon on her? Did I not try enough to get through and get her the help that I think she needed and probably wanted, you know, in some capacity. So I think that dealing with the guilt now, it's been 7 years, that's a big one. And then I think recognizing that I don't need to carry that burden anymore. That now I can just look at this and learn from it and see, like, what can we do to hopefully prevent this from happening to other families.
Was there anybody that you could lean on to help you through this troubling time?
I think it had to be my dad, because I felt like he really understood what was happening and what I was going through. And so my parents had been divorced for several years by that point. Gosh, over maybe a dozen by that point. And they still remained very close. Like, growing up, my parents actually lived 8 minutes apart from each other so that they could share custody of me. And I think that particularly in that last year of my mom's life, it was really hard. And I was living, for some of that year, I was here already in Alaska. And then the remainder of that year before that, I had been in Kentucky for college. And so my dad was still back home. And I think that he was seeing more of it than I was. And I know I would reach out to him a lot before she died and be like, hey, can you just go check on mom? And I know he would. And so I think, you know, when she died, he was the one that called me. He was the one that told me, and really was the one to kind of carry me through that week of the funeral and, you know, packing up what I could at her house and just trying to kind of sift through things. And so definitely my dad.
What advice would you have for someone who might be facing a suicide situation?
I think that we have to embrace the word suicide and keep talking about it, and also know that mental health is much bigger than maybe some of us can understand, but the starting point of understanding is really in keeping those conversations open and learning more about it, and not being afraid to admit that you lost someone by suicide, or that maybe you've actually struggled yourself. I think there's a lot of strength in embracing that.
Hello, I am Chaplain Jones, and I would like to invite you to join me in a prayer for this event. Dear God, we invoke your presence into this gathering of people whose lives have been impacted by suicide, and we ask for a few things. For the shock and grief that lingers still because of the depth of the love that we have, help us to overcome. For those who are hurting, may they experience healing in increasing measure. May your peace replace some of the chaos that is swirling in our mind and swirling in the world. Use this time to strengthen and encourage everyone who is gathered here today. We have experienced the same traumatic loss, but in many different ways. May we find comfort in one another today. As we walk today and every day, may you use us to bring light to those who need it, to those who are in the darkness, and may you use us to light the way out for them. Use this event and us to inspire hope in one another and everyone that we cross paths with. Thank you, God. Amen. Thank you very much, and may you walk in peace.
We want to acknowledge our sponsors for their generous donations to AFSP Alaska and invite you to consider donating today at afsp.org/Mat-Su Valley. Thank you to our Mat-Su Valley supporters: Mat-Su Health Foundation, Bristol Alliance of Companies, Orion Construction Inc., The Grape Tap, and Tataka LLC.
Hi, I'm Eddie P., and it's an honor to be here today to represent Ohana Media Group as well as the entire Alaska community.
Suicide remains a leading cause of death in our state. For many, the Out of the Darkness Walk is a journey of remembrance, a time to acknowledge how suicide and depression have affected our lives and our loved ones.
Various color honor beads acknowledge your connection to the cause and help you identify others who may understand how you feel. So please join us as we share the meaning behind each color bead we wear.
I'm UFC veteran Sam Hoger. Red represents the loss of a spouse or partner. We want to thank you for joining us and honor your loved one.
Gold represents the loss of a parent. We thank you for joining us and we honor your loved one.
We lost our child 5 years ago to suicide. His name was Dominic, and he was the light of our life, a gift from God. We remember him every day, his love, his kindness, his willingness to help others, and we are here today in his memory, letting you know that you're not alone, that we're all walking this with you, and every day and everywhere, even if you can't see us, we're all there, hurting with you, loving with you, and remembering with you.
White represents the loss of a child. We thank you for joining us, and we honor your loved one.
Orange represents the loss of a sibling. We thank you for joining us, and we honor your loved one.
Silver represents the loss of a first responder or military service person. We thank you for joining us, and we honor your loved one.
I wear purple to represent the loss of a friend or relative. We thank you for joining us, and we honor your loved one.
Hi, my name is Justin Pendergrass, and I represent the color green. It's for those who have struggled with suicide and or struggling with suicide. I struggled with suicide about 10 years ago, and I have since overcome that, and I continue to advocate for those who are struggling today.
Hi, I'm Deb Morton. Teal represents your support of a friend or family member who struggles or has attempted. We thank you for supporting your friend, family, and loved ones, and we honor you.
Blue represents your commitment to AFSP and suicide prevention. This color shows that you are joining us today, helping raise awareness and funds for research, education, and advocacy.
It is estimated that most Americans will experience a suicide loss over the course of their lifetime, but suicide is preventable. If you are in a crisis, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK or 8255, or contact the crisis text line by texting TALK to 741-741. You can also visit afsp.org/Alaska for more information and resources.
Thank you for joining us today. AFSP would like to remind you that just like there are warning signs and risk factors for other health crises like cardiac arrest, we can learn the warning signs and risk factors that help us to prevent people from dying by suicide. As with other health issues, prevention can start early, far in advance of the problem, or prevention can occur closer to the time of the crisis. Time can be a critical and life-saving measure. Typically, life can be saved if you allow time for the person's suicide risk to subside, or get through that period of distress and get mental health help. To prevent suicide, we need to identify persons who may be suicidal, as well as take an active role in connecting them to help before they take action to end their lives. In too many instances, people talked about their concern for someone amongst themselves, but hesitate to reach out to the person directly. So here is a rule of thumb. If you are wondering if a person is depressed or overly anxious, that's a sure sign that you should reach out. The same goes for you. If you are having suicidal thoughts, that's a sure sign you need to seek help. If you have reached out before, reach out again. The first time, the person may not be receptive. Keep trying. Try talking to someone else with a professional. And even if a suicide turns out not to be a concern, they may still be in distress, and they may feel comforted and supported just by knowing you care and are taking the time to listen. By caring and reaching out, we can play a part in suicide prevention. Remember, you are not alone. Help is always available. If you or someone you know needs assistance, help them call the Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255, or call the Lifeline yourself, and a trained counselor will tell you what you should do to help the person in distress. If they don't feel comfortable speaking to a counselor on the phone, they can also text TALK to the crisis text line at 741-741. You can learn more about AFSP, find critical resources, and make a life-saving donation at afsp.org/Alaska. Thank you for joining us today and helping us achieve our mission to save lives and bring hope to those affected by suicide. Let's show Alaska we are together to fight suicide and create a culture that is smart about mental health.
Thank you again for joining us for the Mat-Su Valley Out of the Darkness Community Walk. We're so excited to have your support and look forward to continued opportunities for us to gather in person and remotely from online. Until we can meet again, take care of yourself and each other. And remember, you are never alone. AFSP is always here. And if you or someone you know are in crisis or need additional support, please reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline by calling 1-800-273-8255 or texting the word TALK to 741-741. Someone is always available 24/7, 365. We're here to support you and we care about you. Until next time, again, take care of yourself and each other. Have a great day.